Welcome. Well, I did it. I dropped $2,000 on a new headset for VR flying. I just got the headset yesterday. And in this video, I'm going to give you my initial impressions and answer the question, was it worth it? I'll also show you some through the lens video to look at and evaluate. And I'll also give you the pros and cons as I see them at this early point. Before we get started, I'd like to caution you about three things. Pay more attention to what I say than what you see on the screen, because there's no way a screen can tell you or explain to you what VR flying is about. You need to try it to understand it. The VR experience is at least an order of magnitude more realistic than anything you can see on a screen. Another thing you'll see when you look at VR videos on a 2D screen is a lot of rapid head movements. Those aren't noticeable when you're in VR. Your eyes have an uncanny ability to stay focused on an object when your head's moving. The headset unfortunately moves with your head, so it often looks like the heads are moving back and it's kind of jumbled and hard to look at. But it's not that way at all in VR. It's very natural. Finally, any through the lens iPhone footage that I put in this video is not going to do the reality of what you see in the headset justice. It's just almost impossible to keep that iPhone in the right position to stay focused. You'll see it go through glimpses of sharpness, so the sharpest you see is probably about what it looks like everywhere in the headset. Unfortunately, you just can't keep the iPhone centered in the right place long enough. So why would I even consider dropping $2,000 on a VR headset, the Varjo Aero? Well, let me give you a little background by showing a short video that convinced me Varjo is onto something. Now, Varjo, which is located in Finland, offers a professional headset called the XR3, about $6,000 plus $1,500 a year to offer true mixed reality. What they do is they have a headset with pass-through video, and they can create a mask to allow a physical cockpit to interact with the virtual world. Here using P3D. Looks pretty bad compared to the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. But you can see the possibilities. This video is so clear that you can see an iPhone, you can read documents, you can see your cockpit for switches, but outside you have the virtual world. A great way to train, and I think the future of simulation. Now this requires a headset with very high resolution, and that's what the Aero has. It has the same video screens as this unit. It just doesn't have the pass-through video, but it's 35 pixels per degree, which is human eye resolution. Maybe even better than human eye resolution for some of us old guys. Now I really think this is the future for flight simulation training, especially at home. No longer a need for an array of big screen TVs or a curved screen projection system. This just makes sense. And even if your home cockpit doesn't include hardware, there's no reason this system couldn't still work. Look what flight safety's been doing. By masking off a CRT display for the instruments in the flight controls, the pass-through video can be composited with the simulator to get the same effect, but without all the hardware. I think using a touchscreen in a program like Air Manager would make the cockpit very interactive and do it at a much lower cost than a full hardware setup. I'm just convinced that mixed reality is the future of flight simulation and that a high-resolution headset is going to be critical. So let's talk about the Varjo Aero. There's lots of deep dives into the headset out there. The one that comes to mind, probably the best, VR Flight Sim Guy. I'll put a link in the description below. But I do want to share my impressions of this headset, especially as someone who's actually paid for it with his own hard-earned money. So let me show you some examples. I'll start off with Microsoft Flight Simulator, the default Bonanza. And let's take a look at some of the mirror. Now, the mirror is a representation of what you see in the headset. And I'm just going to show you the raw mirror here. Of course, it's just showing the left eye. But you can see the quality of the rendering. It's obviously the resolution is slightly higher than what you see in the headset. But you can see the field of view horizontally and vertically. It's about 115 degrees wide, and the actual resolution of the headset is about 2880 by 2720, so it's a very high pixel count on each eye. Interestingly, the same settings that I could run with my previous Reverb G2 runs this higher density display with similar graphics settings and similar frame rates and remarkably smooth performance. Now, Varjo has their own software called Varjo Base, which is the equivalent of Windows Mixed Reality or Steam VR to run these programs from. It uses OpenXR or OpenVR. I find OpenXR working with Microsoft Flight Simulator is a great combination. Now, the resolution is so high that we can zoom in and crop this image to full screen, and we still have an HD image, very high quality video with no loss of clarity. Another feature the Aero has is a foveated rendering. The headset tracks your eyes at a rate of 100 samples per second and follows your eyes, and it enables a foveation area, which I'll show here, to move with your eye movements. And although it's not supported on any of the simulators yet, it will eventually, and it allows a higher resolution to be displayed in the area where the eye is looking, because the actual part of your eye that has high resolution, the fovea, is very small. So areas you're not looking at could be rendered at a lesser resolution, saving computing power, and you wouldn't be able to tell because you can only see in a very narrow cone with your sharpest vision. Now, there's a utility that allows you to see the foveation area, and I just thought I'd show you. I thought it's kind of cool to be able to see as I look at different areas of the scene. You can see the yellow area showing the area that would be rendered higher. Of course, this is not supported on any of the flight simulators yet, but hopefully someday in the future. I was surprised to learn that the central fovea, the high resolution part of your vision where you have 20/20 vision, is actually only 1 to 2 degrees, which is about, as you see here, the width of your thumb when your arm is held out. Next time you're reading, just look at one word and see that you can't really see and read the words around that. Now, the Aero has spherical lenses as opposed to the Fresnel lenses that most of the other headsets have, and it gives a wider field. The field of view is 115 degrees, but boy, it seems wider, and the sweet spot is enormous compared to even the Reverb G2, which I loved using. So now I'm going to give you a peek through the lens, and on the ground here, obviously I can't fly the airplane and hold my iPhone in the headset, but I'd like to give you a peek and let you see kind of what you see. Although, as I said earlier, it's not near as clear as what you see in the headset. It's very hard to try to keep this in focus and to hold the phone in a position that keeps it square, but you'll get glimpses here of times where it'll be perfectly in focus, and you'll see how sharp the writing is, the labeling on all the instruments. When it's in focus, it will show you that it's really quite impressive. There's absolutely no screen door effect, and it just looks so lifelike that it's really amazing. Not only is the image sharper, but the 3D effect, having a stereo vision in 3D, is what really makes it realistic. And if you haven't tried it, you just can't fathom how realistic it looks. Like you can reach out and touch things. They're so real looking. So anyway, this is just a little sample of what it looks like, and of course had to do it in the vertical orientation to get the iPhone into the headset. It really is quite stunning, and the sweet spot, as I said, is quite big, so it's a little bit easier to hold the iPhone and get a good shot. It really is quite stunning, and I know I had an opportunity to fly an approach in the 787 in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it was so realistic sitting in that beautiful new cockpit. It kind of made me regret that I had to retire when I did before I had a chance to fly such an awesome aircraft. And this is just very easy to install. The Varjo base software was easy to set up. I was up and running in about 15 minutes when I got the software and got started. Now let's take a look at the Baron in X-Plane. To get the Varjo base hardware to interface with X-Plane 11, I had to use OpenVR, and it worked fine. As you can see, this is again a shot from the mirror that's been cropped, and you can see the resolution is just great. One thing I didn't mention is that this is an outside-in tracking, so I like the inside-out, and I was a little bit frustrated that I had to go spend $200 extra to buy a SteamVR base unit. It was easy to set up. You just plug it in and put it up in front. I used one unit. If you're going to be seated, you really don't need more than one, but I did notice if I turned around to look towards the back, like towards the rear of the aircraft, that it did lose tracking. So 2 would probably be a good idea, especially for aerobatics or air combat. So here are some views from X-Plane, the Baron, the stock Baron with X-Plane, using OpenVR and the Varjo base software. The headset is adjustable and quite comfortable to wear. One annoyance is that they didn't include any controllers, so you have to buy some Steam VR compatible controllers, which can run quite a bit of money too. Obviously I was able to fly without them, but it would be nice to have them included. Now let's take a look at the Cessna on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Again, all these pictures were taken with the mirror and cropped using the recording software that's built into the Varjo base software. I have to admit I'm getting a little better at not moving my head so rapidly, but it takes a lot of conscious effort because it's just not normal to hold your head and look around with your eyes. It does make for better VR videos. So now let's take a look at some final through the lens footage of the Cessna from Microsoft Flight Simulator. Unfortunately, a iPhone video is never going to give you the true feel for what it's like in VR, but I think you can see it's pretty good quality. You know, it's kind of like a high-definition television. If you've never seen it, initially it looked fantastic, but you get used to it, and I think the VR headsets are the same way. I went from the Rift to the Rift S to the G2 Reverb, and now on to this supposedly best, but soon probably to be the standard. So I'm in the honeymoon phase, but I got to tell you that this is by far the best headset that I've ever worn. The resolution is spectacular. So I think this definitely is the best consumer headset you can buy, but it's certainly at a price. But is it worth it? Stand by, and in a moment I'm going to give you a summary of my pros and cons and whether I think my money was well spent. So let's take a look at some of the pros first. First of all, the performance of this headset is fantastic. The visual resolution is unsurpassed. It has a great sweet spot. I love the aspheric lenses compared to the Fresnel lenses. The field of view seems wider than it's advertised, but it's very nice. Maybe because of the wider sweet spot, it seems wider. I don't know. It's also future-proofed, I think, with the foveal rendering. I think that's going to be something in the future, and the fact that that's already included. Also, that eye tracking that does the foveal rendering also does an automatic IPD adjustment, so that's not a big deal. But if you're passing it between different people, it saves a little time. Physically, the unit is quite comfortable to wear. It has a lot of good adjustments. I love the head mounting system, and it's lightweight, so in that regard, it's a nice setup. The performance was quite smooth. I know that it does use the CPU a little more than Windows mixed reality units that are out there. I noticed the GPU wasn't straining quite as hard, and the performance was nice. Very few stutters, and I'm just learning how to use it. The base software, the Varjo base software, worked very well, and it was easy to set up. I set it up in about 15 minutes, and I was up and running. Now for some of the cons. Well, First of all, this thing came without any controllers. I found that annoying. It came without any audio headset. It comes with just a jack. That's unusual, I think, for something this high priced. Next big one is that it requires the outside-in tracking, which means you have to invest in at least a $200 base unit. If you want 2 units, you got $400 more. When you add that to the controllers at probably $300, you're talking about quite a big investment in addition to the headset. For the price some people buy headsets, you're just going to pay that to just bring this up to a fully equipped unit. But the elephant in the room is the cost, and that's definitely a con. I mean, $2,000 plus for a headset is really outside what I consider consumer. I happen to have had a little money from my Napster royalties, so I went on and invested some of that back into this hobby. But had I not had that, I might have hesitated to spend this kind of money for a headset. Don't get me wrong, I'm blessed to have it, and I'm going to enjoy using it, and I'm going to try to keep you informed as I learn more about it. But I think the sweet spot for a headset ought to be probably about $500. I can't see a consumer headset going much more than $1,000 or so, maybe $1,200. So I think as time goes on, this technology is going to become more and more available to people who are just normal users by bringing that price down. And I think the technology we see here is going to become the standard technology. And I'm sure the visual resolution is just going to continue to improve. Varjo does a lot of things with hand tracking, and as you saw in my previous video, mixed reality. I'd love to see them add a add-on unit that you could snap on the front of here, or someone else to make a third-party camera input that could be used to create true mixed reality, which I really am looking forward to. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I'd love to have your comments. I really do enjoy this hobby, and I love sharing it with you guys. And I do appreciate a little feedback from time to time. Oh, and yes, I don't think I made a mistake buying this headset. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on my next video.